take a look at the theme for this year's Customer Service Week and its implications. You're welcome aboard. I am Vivian Oguche. Now, team service is the theme for Customer Service Week 2023. We dig in after the day's top stories with Alfreda Ambe Bassi.
A beautiful morning to you. Here's a quick rundown of our top stories this morning. To collaborate in harnessing potentials in Nigeria's marine and blue economy. Zoom Video Communications plans to challenge Microsoft Teams. Due to some technicalities. A beautiful morning to you. Here is a quick rundown of our top stories this morning. The federal government and the U.S. are to collaborate in harnessing potentials in Nigeria's marine and blue economy. Zoom Video Communications plan to challenge Microsoft Teams. Singapore's 10-year certificate of entitlement has led to exorbitant costs amid economic recovery post-COVID-19. Details coming up after this break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The United States government has announced a significant partnership with Nigeria to harness the potential of Nigeria's blue economy, focusing on sustainable economic development. Jesse Le Pen, a senior coordinator at the U.S. State Department, highlighted Nigeria's leadership in the ocean space and the creation of Ministry of Marine and Blue Economy as groundbreaking. The blue economy, defined by the World Bank, aims to use ocean resources sustainably for economic growth and job creation while preserving the ocean's health. This partnership aligns with the Declaration on Atlantic Cooperation adopted by 32 coastal Atlantic countries and underscores a shared commitment to protect and utilize the ocean for sustainable economic growth, with the World Bank estimating its annual contribution to the global economy at $1.5 trillion and expected to double by 2030. And away from that, Zoom Video Communications Incorporated plans to challenge Microsoft Teams by expanding its offerings, including collaborative document editing similar to Google Docs by 2024, as revealed by the company's Chief Product Officer, Smita Hashim. Despite impressive revenue growth from 2020 to 2022, Zoom has faced challenges as offices reopened, leading to modest sales growth projections of less than 2%. Zoom has found success with its office phone service and customer service center, though usage numbers for tools like email and calendar remain undisclosed. Currently holding about 7% of the communication and collaboration software market, Zoom has expressed concerns to regulators about Microsoft's preferential treatment through design and pricing bundling, while Microsoft Teams dominates with a 42% market share, according to International Data Corporation. And moving on, Singapore's 10-year Certificate of Entitlement COE system, introduced in 1990 to regulate vehicle numbers, has led to exorbitant costs. Owning a car requires bidding for a certificate, which is currently priced at $106,000, equivalent to 4 Toyota Camry hybrids in the U.S. Large car COE prices quadrupled since 2020, reaching a record of $146,000. Car costs in Singapore are significantly higher in the US, including COE, registration fees and taxes. The surge in COE prices is due to post-COVID economic activity and increased car purchases despite capped vehicle numbers. This rise challenges the Singapore dream of upward mobility, prompting sociologist Tan and Sir to suggest reevaluating aspirations. Stock, commodities and currency market trends come up after this break. Thank you for staying with us. At the close of Wednesday trading session on the Nigerian Stock Exchange NGX, a total of 657,515,274 shares were traded in 6,646 deals. Compared with the previous NGX trading day, Thursday's data shows an 80% improvement in volume, 19% improvement in turnover, but a 12% decline in the number of deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 36,400 billion naira. In total, 117 NGX listed equities participated in trading, ending with 29 gainers and 22 losers. Oando led the gainers with a 9.88% share price appreciation, closing at 9.45 naira per share, which was followed by Red Star Express, Triple G Co, and RT Briscoe. On the losing side, Wema Bank came up last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 10% at 4.23 naira per share, which was followed by Ikeja Hotel, Associated Bourse Company, and Royal Exchange. Universal Insurance Company recorded the highest volume of 336 million traded shares, followed by Fidelity Bank, Consolidated Hallmark Insurance, and Guarantee Trust Holding. And at the close of Wednesday's trading session on the Malawi Stock Exchange MSE, a total of 3,332,470 shares were traded. Compared with the previous MSE trading day, today's data shows a 441% improvement in volume and 166% improvement in turnover. The current market capitalization of the Malawi Stock Exchange is 6,400 billion Malawian kwacha. In total, 8 MSC listed equities participated in trading, ending with 2 gainers and 4 losers. The 2 gainers were Ilovo Sugar and FMB Capital Holdings. On the losing side, FDH Bank came out last with an end-of-day price depreciation of 1.39% at 70 Malawian kwacha per share, which was followed by Airtel Malawi, NBS Bank, and Telecom Networks Malawi. NBS Bank recorded the highest volume of 2.6 million traded shares, followed by Malawi Property Investment Company, Airtel Malawi, and FDH Bank. Moving on, wheat is currently being traded at 558.75 US cents per unit. The value of gold stands at $1,826.29 US dollar per ounce, while silver is priced at $21.24 US dollars per ounce. Copper is trading at $3.61 US dollars per pound, and Brent crude oil is $89.42 US dollars. And in the parallel market, the US dollar is purchased at 990 naira and sold for 1,000 naira. The British pound exchanges between 1,250 to 1,260 naira. The euro is being bought at 1,030 naira and sold for 1,040 naira. Those are the day's top stories. I am Alfreda Ambe Bassi. Join Vivian Oguche as she walks you through the next phase of Business Insight.
is home to Idumota Market located on Lagos Island. It is one of the oldest and arguably one of the largest markets in West Africa. Idumota is a historic neighborhood adjacent to the Lagos port that facilitated the slave trade, and later, under the British indirect rule, it surrounded to exports that fueled the colonial enterprise. Idumota was also the location of an Armed Forces Remembrance Cenotaph called Soja Idumota, built as a monument to Nigerian soldiers who served with the West African Frontier Force. An Eyo Masquerade statue and a clock tower are also some monuments at Idumota. Idumota Market is so popular that large sales are recorded as early as 7 a.m. The market is made up of hundreds of locked-up shops occupying several multi-story buildings, with some measuring about 5 or more floors. In 2010, the Lagos State government demolished some illegal structures in order to improve vehicular and human movement in and around the markets. During weekdays, the neighborhood of Idumota is densely populated by shoppers, traders, and bus passengers. From the Carter Bridge ascending into Lagos Island, passengers can see the neighborhood before disembarking at their final destination. Idumota Market accommodates the substantial inflow of imported goods. The bulk of import from abroad are routed first through Idumota and then on to other markets through Nigeria and other West and Central African countries. The energy of private Idumota traders and wholesalers facilitate this activity, where millions of US dollars worth of wholesale is exchanged daily. Idumota Market, Souq Enlightenment.
Well, glad to have you back. So some of the objectives of marking Customer Service Week include boosting morale, motivation, and teamwork. Now, raising awareness of the important role customer service plays in an organization's success. It also involves thanking other departments for their support and reminding customers of an organization's commitment to their welfare, among other things. Now, for more insight on this, Sam Oruwuje joins me in-house. Sam is an accomplished sales and customer service strategist with a special interest in channel development, key account management, leadership development, employee communications, company reputation management, performance management, and alignment of customer service strategy to business objectives and priorities. Now, that is quite a profile, Sam. Good morning.
Good morning, Vivian.
Yes,
how are you? Good to have
very
you.
well. Thank you.
So excited to be here on the Customer Service Week.
It's good to have you. Also, in a little while, Dawan Ejuma is going to be joining us virtually for more perspective. In absentia, I'm just going to do a short introduction. Dawan is a seasoned customer experience specialist with a passion for empowering small businesses. Dawan is also the author of the Customer Service Handbook for Online Vendors, a practical manual designed to equip online entrepreneurs, especially those with limited customer service experience, with the knowledge and tools to navigate common customer service challenges effectively. Dawan will join us shortly. So let me begin with you, Sam. I'd like for you to throw more light on this year's theme of Customer Service Week.
Thank you very much indeed, Vivian. For the past 30 years, every October, a week is set aside to celebrate customer service. And this year's theme is team service. And as the name suggests, you require a team to be able to satisfy the customer optimally. So beyond the external customer, you equally need to celebrate the internal customer that puts a package together to be able to service those who are in the front line in servicing the customer. So this year, team service is unique, and again is trying to underscore the importance of customer service. And customer service indeed is the bedrock of every business or organization. So once you're not able to satisfy the customer, then you have a major challenge. And in line with that, the father of modern management, Peter Drucker, underscored the importance of customer service when he said, for every business to exist, you need to create and sustain customers. So it's service that can enable you to create and sustain customers.
You know, while you were talking, you said there are internal as well as external customers. Yes. So let me pick your brains a little bit. Who is a customer? The
customer is every person that a service provider try to provide a service to, put simply. So everybody that consumes service or products of organizations, they are the ones who the people serve from organizations so that they get meet the expectations of the customers.
Fantastic. So what are the objectives of Customer Service Week?
The objective is to underscore the importance of customer service, to celebrate employees who are in the front line serving the customer, and find a way to move beyond just customer service to customer experience, meet the customer expectation. And there's this cliche in customer service, on the promise to over-deliver. What that means is that constantly you need to provide service, and you meet and exceed the customer expectation. Then you can get what you call repeat business. And you can take the customer in what they call the customer service journey from just being a customer and becomes a strategic partner for the business.
Fantastic. So I have a very, very big question I'll ask you, but this is a lead up to that question. Without excellent employees, no customer satisfaction. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, first and foremost, the employees who are in the front line, particularly those ones who are serving customer, once the morale and the employees are properly trained in what you call the customer service framework, then they're able to provide optimal service to the customer. And like mentioned earlier, the business in itself or the organization is there to create and serve customer first and foremost. Before you talk about profit.
Fantastic. So then, my question, what customer satisfaction goal will you aim for?
No, essentially, as a service provider, the ultimate is to be able to provide adequate satisfaction for the customer, and sometimes you will need to go beyond or take the extra mile in a way to go above what the customer expects. And we have even moved away essentially from what you call customer service to customer experience.
So let's make it personal. This is what I want to know. If, for example, you are putting on the shoes of a customer, what will satisfy you?
Once the service provider is able to meet my expectation based on the service delivery that he had promised me, then I'm happy as a customer.
Fantastic. And then you say we don't just stop at satisfaction, we move on to experience. So what then is customer experience?
The experience is a kind of, once you have an interface between what you promise and what you're able to deliver, then the customer is essentially happy. So he has that kind of experience. So that's what you call the moment of truth. When the customer interacts with your value proposition and what the customer essentially gets when he has a direct interaction with your service. So once you're able to do that, then the customer is happy.
Moment of truth sounds really, really, really good. Well, let's talk about the 4 key principles of customer service. Personalized, competent, convenient, and proactive. This is your forte. So please, could you expand these things for us?
No, essentially, that's what you call the customer service journey. Once the value proposition that you put in the marketplace, once you're able to satisfy the customer based on those frames that you just mentioned a while ago, then the customer is happy, then you are in business. So constantly, you must be customer-centric, thinking in the line of the customer as you provide service. Make sure once there are issues with your service, you take feedback mechanism very seriously. If there are service failure, to what extent are you able to correct those failures in a proactive manner and not being reactive to the customer? I think those are the kind of ecosystem that will be able to sustain that relationship to greater heights.
It seems like psychology comes into play here. I mean, because people have different temperaments, right? So if you're able to read the temperament of a particular customer, you're able to tailor their needs, you know, effectively. Am I right?
Yes. So I think you need some high level of what you call emotional intelligence to be able to satisfy the customer adequately. So you have all kinds of customer. You have a difficult customer. But what is key is to understanding the customer. And there's another frame that is very important. You must have concern for the business and you have a concern for the customer. When you're able to balance those two entities, then everybody is happy in the value chain.
You know, I try to run away from it, but since you brought it up, what do you mean when you call someone a difficult customer? Is it someone hard to please?
To some extent, yes. There are people, well, you mentioned psychology earlier, so there's what you call customer behavior, which is essentially driven by individual psychology on the way they respond to issues. So your ability to be able to emotionally respond to customer that might play difficult sometimes, then you're able to provide service in a way that meets their requirement. And when there are issues in terms of, sometimes there's a service breakdown. So what is important, to what extent can you recover that service and be able to identify some customers in a way that you're able to resolve their issues. When you're not able to do that, you refer them to your superior who are able to interface more meaningfully. But the idea is that those who are in the front line must be trained in a way that they understand customer motivations, that they are people that are difficult sometimes when you deal with them. So you balance those situations with the reaction. So what we say in customer service, they must be personable in a way that they are able to respond to issues more appropriately.
Fantastic. Dan is ready to join us now. Like I said earlier on, Dan is a seasoned customer experience specialist and also author of the book, The Customer Service Handbook for Online Vendors. Darren, thank you so much for making out time to join us on the show this morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me on the show this morning too as well.
Thank you. So based on what Sam has said, it seems customer service is more than what meets the eye. So let me put this to you. How would you define good customer service?
Okay, so I feel that customer service as a term is a bit outdated, and the emphasis has shifted from just offering service to basically looking at the customer experience, looking at it from a 360 point of view. So when I say customer experience, I mean everything or every experience that the customer has when they're doing business with us, whatever interaction they're having with us. Because the outdated idea or the previous idea or the old idea was to say, oh, someone comes, buys something from us or does business with us, and then we offer service during the service and after the service. But now, with the rise of social media, we see a lot of people do business on social media. We have the digital space as well. So how do we make the experience of the customer a wow experience across every customer touch point? Now, when I say touch point, I mean every aspect that the customer has to interact with you. It could be face-to-face, it could be over the phone, it could be via Instagram DM or X, formerly Twitter DMs. It could be even on LinkedIn. So what is the experience? The idea is that every customer should be able to leave the interaction with you with the great experience. So that's why I said we're gradually moving from the shift for strictly customer service to now customer experience. It's a 360-degree thing. So we're looking at the whole customer journey and how we're able to enhance the experience for the customer.
Fantastic. 360-degree and enhancing the experience of customers. What you just said is in alignment to what Sam here just said. So how do you measure customer satisfaction then?
Okay, so because typically when I do trainings, one of the questions I ask my participants is, treat the customer like your grandmother. Then I ask them, why do we say grandmother? Why not baby? Because the assumption is that it is babies that need the most care because they're young and they're fragile, right? So why do we say grandmother? And then they're in a bit of a dilemma. They're wondering, grandmother because she's old, grandmother because she's equally fragile. And then I tell them the difference between your baby and your grandmother is that your grandmother has sense. Let me put it that way. So if I were to offer a baby anything, the baby would not reject it. The baby will take it, especially if I'm the mother. Whatever I offer that baby, the baby is going to take it. But the difference between the baby and the mother, even though they are both fragile, is that the grandmother knows right from wrong, and she knows what is good and what is bad. So first and foremost, if you're not serving your customers well, if the experience is not great for them, they would immediately tell you. So you can walk away from that interaction, especially quite a number of customers will tell you instantly that they're not happy with the service, they're not happy with the experience that they've gotten. But if you find yourself in the unfortunate position, I say unfortunate position because I tell people that when a customer complains to you, they are giving you a gift. A complaint is a gift. It is the opportunity to make right the situation for that customer, win back that customer, turn them into a loyal customer and possibly a brand ambassador. And then that same customer can help you win other customers to the business. So it's a gift. So if you find yourself in the unfortunate position where the customer doesn't say anything about their levels of satisfaction and then they walk away without giving you any feedback, here are some ways that you can measure customer satisfaction. We have a couple of metrics. So the first thing you can do is to actively engage in surveys. So you do a customer feedback survey, and then you ask certain questions, and then you get the answers, and then you can analyze the data you get from those answers to let you know if your customers are actually satisfied. We also have something we call the NPS. It's called the Net Promoter Score. It's a score that tells us how willing a customer would be to recommend your business to someone else or to their friends and family. So customers with a high Net Promoter Score, for instance, are more willing to promote your business to their networks and their circle of influence. We also look at the Customer Effort Score. The customer effort score is the amount of activity that your customer would have to put into doing business with you, maybe navigating your website, your mobile apps, or even interacting with you over the phone or in person. So the higher the effort it is to do business with you, the less satisfied your customer is. So we have that. And then we have the CSAT, the customer satisfaction score. So these are all forms of metrics, forms of measurements, and nothing in customer service or nothing in the customer experience is done arbitrarily. It looks like, when you say psychology, it looks like there's things are being done, but there's a straight way to measure things in this space. And trust me, the data you get from these measurements can and will be used to better the experience for the customer.
Fantastic. You know, I was going to ask you talk a little bit about psychology, but you took the words right out of my mouth. So let me ask this next question. So you say that customer service is outdated. So I'll use customer experience. So what is the difference between customer experience and customer support? I was going to say
so when
customer service, but since it's now outdated, let's say customer experience and customer support.
Yes, customer experience and customer support. So support basically is the service you give to the customer before the purchase, during the purchase, and after the purchase. So that's the support you give to the customer before, during, and after. That's where it stops. But the experiences, we'll now start looking at things like your branding. Your branding adds to the experience. We look at your physical location. So how comfortable is your office, for instance, if you have a brick and mortar store? What's the layout of your brick and mortar store? How easy is it to navigate your brick and mortar store? That constitutes experience. What is your parking space like? There are some places in this Lagos that they're known for certain things. I'll give you an example. Computer Village, for instance. You know that if you want to get certain gadgets and devices and stuff like that, that's the best place to go to. But we know that in terms of parking, that place is a no-go area. So what are your facilities like? What is your website like? Do you have cases of abandoned carts? Like people come into your website and they have difficulty navigating your website because the user experience is not so great. So these are the things that constitute the experience, the user experience on your apps as well. Do we have to jump through so many hoops to be able to execute one single transaction on your app? What are your payment processes like? Are they easy? I tell people that the business who are killing it, who are making a killing are hinged or the leverage on two things: technology and convenience. Technology and convenience. So those are the things that form the experience for the customer. How easy is it to do business with you, especially in these days where people want it and they want it now? You know, so the attention span is really short. People want stuff to be done for them. They want that ease. They want that convenience. So how are you making all of this happen? So it's not just about I buy something from you and then 2 days later it's not working. I call you and I say, oh, it's not working. And I now jump to fix it. Like Mr. Sam said, there's something we'll call reactive customer service. So you're waiting for a problem to happen before you sort it out. If you know that people who buy a particular product usually have issues with setting it up, then for you to become a proactive customer service person, you create an FAQ, frequently asked questions, and then you put it on your app or on your website. And then you say, oh, you bought this product, here's how, or you do an explainer video. Do an explainer video of how to use your product or how to go about navigating your app. So it's either you have FAQs, you have guidelines, or you have explainer videos, because you have realized over time that when people buy this product or they use this service, these are the typical issues or complaints that they would face. And then you take steps to counteract those problems or those issues before they start happening. So these are the things that form customer experience, not just waiting for people to complain to you. That's support. When they complain to you and you solve, that is still at the level of support. And then we also now talk about anticipating the needs of your customers. Trust me, if you had asked people what they wanted in terms of transportation, I'm sure many of us were really comfortable with walking to the bus stop and flagging down a yellow cab, haggling over the price, and then getting into the cab and going to where we're going to. That was a very perfect situation for us. But how many of us realize that it's really convenient to sit in the comfort of wherever you are, your home or your office, wherever you are, and there's an app where you can book a ride and the person comes to your doorstep, picks you up, gives you estimates of fares, gives you traffic information. So it tells you that based on the traffic in this location or on this route at this time of the day, your fares might be slightly higher. How many of us realized that that was something we needed? So another thing about moving from just support to experience is that we now begin to anticipate our customers' needs. What do our customers really want? What is that thing we're going to add to the service or to the product that is going to really wow the customer? How do we underpromise and overdeliver?
Wow, fantastic. I mean, it seems like this interplay between a service provider and a customer is a whole universe on its own. Well, let me bring it back to Sam here.
Yes.
Now, these are some of the bullet points she gave, and I'd like you to react to them. She said a complaint is a gift. She also said treat the customer like your grandmother. She talked about technology and convenience. She also gave an example of Computer Village that lacks a parking spot. And she linked it up to anticipating your customers' needs. I'll have you react to that before I go back to her.
Yes, D1 has just done justice to the customer experience journey. Indeed, one of the one that they call a gift is that the customer that complains is a customer that is really indeed your customer. The silent customer is the most dangerous customer. So once customers complain, are you able to resolve those complaint issues, then they become your partner. Then indeed, what is essential or what is just talked about, your ability to be able to respond to the various pain points of your customer through the various touch points. To what extent are you able to understand the deep insights of the inner voice of the customer? Once you're able to understand the inner voice of the customer, you're able to anticipate the challenge, and you're able to provide service that optimally meet the requirement of the customer, then you have the customer as your strategic partner. I think she's in sync with the entire process of what you call the customer experience.
Okay, it seems like Sam and D1 are on the same wavelength. D1, when you come back, I'll be asking you this next question. What do you find interesting about the customer care sector? That's the next question I've got for you. But first, Sam also talked about difficult customers. But then, what you just said seems like a contrast, would I say that is now? Because you said a silent customer is a dangerous customer, but the customer that complains is a gift. So the customer that complains is not synonymous to a difficult customer, right?
Not at all.
Uh-huh.
That is a customer that wants you to improve on your service delivery. The silent customer is the one who walks away and tells people not to do business with you. But the one who comes back to complain is indeed your partner.
Yeah, but in a case where a silent customer had complained over and over and over and it didn't work, and the customer decides to be silent and tell other people that, hey, don't go there, would you blame that person?
No, from literature, the ones that are really silent based on the surveys and research are the ones that they don't even talk to you at all.
Okay.
But those who make complaints are the ones that want you to improve on your service delivery.
So one of the questions I was going to put to D1 was that what does she find interesting about, the customer care sector? So I'll put that question to you too. What do you find interesting?
I think in terms of customer care, there's a challenge, particularly in our client where people don't take customer service serious. So those who are at the care point in terms of technical provision of the service, sometimes, particularly when you have interaction via telephone, in terms of the response mechanism from those part of the ecosystem, there's a problem. Nevertheless, there are some companies that are champion in terms of the kind of care they give to their customers. So that care is very critical, and that's why I talked about the role of internal customer service. Those who provide support for the front line, who has a direct interface with the customer, is critical. So if you have an internal customer regime that is not supportive, it's likely to impact negatively on the business, particularly those who are on the front. So the internal customer service must be upbeat so that we're able to address the core customer issues and you meet with the requirements of the customer as it were.
Fantastic. What Sam just alluded to as challenges, before I'll have D1 react to challenges, let me ask you, D1, because this is a question that's on the tip of my tongue that I need to put to you. What do you find interesting about the customer care sector? Because I see you're very animated when you talk about these things. So what interests you most when we talk about customers' experience?
Okay, so for me, it will be the diversity of interactions. The fact that if you're a customer experience person, on a good day, you come to work and you absolutely don't know what you're going to meet. So Mr. Sam mentioned difficult customers. You might come to work today and then you meet the difficult customer. The other day, everybody is just easy to please and it's easy peasy, lemony squeezy. You know, so it's the diversity of interactions that makes it interesting for me. The fact that you are constantly problem solving. Yes, as a customer experience person, you're constantly problem solving, helping people solve problems, issues. So that makes it interesting for me because no 2 days are the same as a customer. You can't say, oh, I'm coming to work today and this is what I'm going to expect. Absolutely not, because people are different. Individual differences will always come to play. Another thing that is interesting about this sector is that nothing is static. Like I told you, we've shifted away from customer service to customer experience. Who knows what it's going to be in another 2, 3, 4, 5 years? So there's always that room for continuous learning in this industry. Like the trends, especially with the digital ecosystem, you know, and all of that, social media. So a lot is changing, and we have to keep up with the times and the changes that are upon us. Organizations to also need to try as much as possible to maintain a customer-centric culture. That's something that is interesting, you know. It's easy to say, oh, we're a customer-centric organization, we're a customer-centric organization. And then you come in and then you see there's so many things. In a customer-centric organization, everything, and I mean everything, should revolve around the customer. Every decision in that company should take the customer into consideration. And I'm sure you've heard the saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast. So if you do not have a customer-centric culture, even your business strategy will go to blazes, trust me. So it's your culture that we will be looking at. So that's some of the things that I find interesting in this sector.
Fantastic. I just got another one. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. All right. So you mentioned difficult customers. Also, Sam talked about difficult customers. So I'd like to know, though, how do you handle difficult situations involving customers? I'd rather say it that way. I find it a little bit heavy calling them difficult customers. So how do you handle difficult situations involving customers?
Okay, so for me, I think that each of us is a customer of another business. So because we're all customers of different businesses, we know the way we like to be treated when we are patronizing another business. So I just tell people that, you see, the way you like to be treated, treat your customers that same way, because we're all customers of different businesses, whichever way you want to look at it. So the first thing, and it's one key skill that every person in the customer experience space needs to have, if you do not have it, you have to cultivate it, is empathy. And basically, what is empathy? Putting yourself in the customer's shoes. If this was me, how would I feel? I'll give you an experience that someone shared with us at a training we had at one of these days. So they work for a broadband internet company, and imagine a customer who wants to write an international exam, has paid for it in dollars in these days of unstable dollars, has spent a couple of weeks, months, who knows, even years studying for this exam. And then it's time to take the exam. It's a computer-based exam. And the broadband internet is not just responding. And then this customer calls and begins to rant for the customer experience person, and she gets really angry, you know, and all of that. And I said, take for instance that you are this person. For you, it's just another Tuesday in the office. Yeah, it's just another day on the job. But for this person, their entire life and career hangs in the balance of passing this one exam that they spend so much time, money, energy, and effort in putting into it. So if you look at a difficult customer from that experience, from that perspective, you would know that when customers complain, it's not because they just like to complain. It's not because they're picking on you. It's because they truly have, this is truly a big issue for them, and you just have to put yourself in their shoes and see how you can help them to solve the problem, to meet their own deadlines, to also respect their timelines and whatever it is going on in their lives. Because I tell people that when a customer complains to you, especially if there's a difficult situation that needs to be solved, there are two things behind every complaint. There's the part of the complaint that relates to the service itself, and then there's the part of the complaint that is quite emotional. The part of the customer that wants you to listen to them, that wants you to understand them, that wants you to know where they're coming from, that needs you to know this is a pain point for me. So it's really annoying for the average customer that you're basically not seeing their pain. All you're seeing is just another day for you in the office, and you just want to do what needs to be done. And there's this thing that customer experience people do, oh, sorry about that. When you say sorry, you should mean it. It's not just a line in the script, especially for those of them in contact centers. Oh, sorry about that. I'm sorry you're not able to do that. Well, if you're saying sorry, make the sorry count. So for me, those are just some of the ways you can deal with customers in difficult situations. Put yourself in their shoes, listen to them, empathize with them, and offer solutions. Offer solutions. And then when you apologize on behalf of your organization, truly mean it.
Fantastic. You know, talking about offering solutions and empathy, I mean, those are very, very key things when it comes to keeping a customer happy. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I want to give instances where I've been to a place where there were vulnerables, like very elderly women, pregnant women, standing, waiting for very long periods of time. Nobody attended to them. I mean, that is quite disheartening to me. And then personally, when I go to somewhere and I'm expecting to be served and I don't see a smiling face, it scares me. I mean, I give you an instance. Like yesterday, I went somewhere, you know, and I was not just smiled at. I was also given a mug, and on it was written "Happy Customer Service Week." I mean, that made my day. So I'm going to ask you, what other ways do you employ to keep your customers happy?
I didn't get what you said.
Yeah, what other ways do you employ to keep your customers happy?
Oh, what other ways can we keep our customers happy?
Yes.
Under promise and over deliver.
Aha.
First of all, every business has a brand promise. So make sure you fulfill your brand promise. If you do not fulfill so if your brand promise is to ensure fast, safe, secure, whatever it is you're promising your customer, make sure that you deliver on that promise. And then we now say over-deliver on that promise. That's a surefire way to make your customer happy. Trust me, satisfied customers are not really big on discounts. Loyal customers are not really big on discounts. For them, once a customer gets to that point where they're your loyal customers, pricing is no longer an issue for them, because they've realized over time that you consistently, that's the word, you consistently deliver on what you have promised them. If you promise them safe service, make sure it is safe all the time. If you promise them fast, make sure it is fast all the time. If you promise them prompt, make sure it is prompt. If you promise them, so whatever it is you're promising them, make sure that you're delivering and even over delivering on that. Yes, you can include some value-added services. Like you said, you got a mug yesterday. Beautiful. Loyalty programs are absolutely wonderful. Yes, once in a while you can reward your customers. It's Customer Service Week, for instance. So this is a great opportunity to reward your customers. But the best way to satisfy your customers is to deliver what you said you were going to deliver, and then even add some more on top of that.
All right, it sounds good, right? Let me bring this back to Sam. Isn't there a danger in under-promising? Because some people are very big on promises. Some people want to see stuff on paper to say, oh, they can do this. Is there a danger somewhere if you under-promise, even though you intend to over-deliver?
No, I don't think there's any danger when you under-promise.
Okay.
Where the danger is when you over-promise.
Ah, really?
You under-promise to over-deliver. So I don't think there's a danger when you under-promise. So that even gives you a leverage on how you can put your service delivery optimally, and you're able to satisfy the customer. I think the key conversation here is service excellence.
Mm-hmm.
Service excellence. You need to just deliver value based on your value proposition to the customer. And once service, then the customer become loyal to you, and you drive them in the customer journey to what you call strategic partners. You know,
you talked about it, and she talked about it earlier on, psychology, when it comes to, good customer care experience. You said service is key. How about people who are big on emotions? She talked about empathy, right? So what are other ways you can explore to keep your customers, to keep them happy?
She spoke to a lot of them. Service delivery, which is very critical. Once you make a promise, you must deliver on those promises. You must reward your customer. Then finally, that's what you call the customer voice. You need to understand the customer voice. And every purchase or every buying behavior is essentially driven by emotions. People buy based on emotions. So you need to understand the concept of emotional intelligence. And one of the pillars of emotional intelligence is the empathy, which she spoke to earlier. Then you need to understand you must have some social skills, interpersonal skills that help you to drive the process. Then if there are issues, you have the capacity to self-regulate yourself in line with some of the negative impulses that the customer sometimes, or even the service provider, puts up with the customer. So once you're able to synchronize these various elements, then you are able to serve the customer. So you must wear the cap of what you call service leadership, which is the driver of customer experience.
Fantastic. D1, we're wrapping this up now. What are your final recommendations as regards customer experience, both internal and external customers? Because Sam said there are internal as well as external customers. So let's wrap it up.
Wrapping it up, I just say I will fall back to this magazine that says treat other people the way you want to be treated. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. So because you're the customer of a particular, I'm going to give you an interesting story about an internal customer. So there's this guy, he's a loan officer for one of these loan companies. So his job basically is to go out and get people to sign up to these loans. So he typically takes their applications, but he's not the one who signs up on these ones. So when he gets the applications, he has to give it to someone in the back office. Now, this person in the back office apparently is not really big on, approving these loans as quickly as possible. Maybe the loan officer has promised the customer, maybe your loans will be approved in 24 hours. And then the person at the back office is taking 3 to 5 working days to approve a single loan. So obviously there's a service failure there. And the service failure arises from the fact that the internal customer is not properly serving the loan officer so that he can serve the external customer. So we find situations like these in organizations. So I tell people that your internal customer is the person whose work will suffer the most if you do not do your job correctly. That person's job is going to suffer. So we try to find a way to get this person to get his back office person to approve the loans as quickly as possible. It was a very funny situation because he resorted to buying this person lunch. in order to get him to be able to so that his job doesn't suffer. He's able to meet his own KPIs and also satisfy the external customer. So these are some of the issues that we find in organizations, which is why we focus a lot, or we talk a lot about training. We tell small businesses, big organizations, whatever it is, as long as you have people, as long as you have people who are front-facing staff facing customers, even if you say, oh, we train them when they join the organization, you're not accounting for the wear and tear on these people who are the front-facing staff. So we recommend regular trainings of people in the service industry, in the service business, front-facing staff, regular trainings to counteract, to account for these wear and tear on service people. So for me, parting words would be try to anticipate your customers' needs, meet them where they want you to be, prioritize your people, your customer service people. So we hear a lot of stories too of people who are in the service business facing customers, and they work in really under terrible conditions. So also prioritize the mental health of your staff, so that they can give the best service, because they're the ones who deliver the service. So if they're not in tip-top shape, how do you expect them to give their best to your customer?
Well, that's a safe place to land. Thank you so much, Diwan. As you wrap things up, this is what I took away from what you were saying. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. I mean, basically, life generally is the golden rule, isn't it? Do unto others what you want others to do unto you. Thank you so much, Diwan Ejoma, for being part of the show today. I do hope when we call on you again, you will honor our invitation.
Anytime, anytime. Thank you so much for having me this morning, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you. Diwan is a seasoned customer experience specialist and also the author, author of the book, Customer Service Handbook for Online Vendors. Sam, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
you
absolutely. You and Diwan were on the same wavelength. It was fantastic. Thank you so much. Sam is also a customer service strategist with special interest in channel development. I have been your host today, Vivian Oguche, and I hope to be back again, same time, same station. Until then, have yourself a beautiful day, and bye for now.